Here we go. This new lesson is on resilience. This new talk is about resilience. It's always good at first to look at what the meaning of the word is when we're talking about something. And the meaning of resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. I love this meaning because it does really encapsulate all that we've been talking about up till now. Healing and recovery both have to do with rejuvenation, resilience, and bouncing back after an illness or surgeries, or even after a pandemic. There is still healing and recovering going on in Belgium right now and everywhere. The question is there resiliency? I think hope has a place in this picture too. Is it possible to be resilient without hope? The body is an amazing thing. It is so complicated. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Sorry, I have to find my little, I'm using another computer instead of a printed page today. So the body is fearfully and wonderfully made. And there are 200 different types of cells in the human body: blood, bone, muscle, and skin, just to name a few. Within each cell type, there are also other cells. In the skin, there are 3 layers of cells with other cells. The first layer is the epidermis, and there are 3 other types of cells that are found there, such as one of them is the pigment producing cells. My mind starts getting boggled just thinking about all the different kinds of cells in our body. And that is only scratching the surface of it all. The cells and their functions in our body are numerous. Cells do have a lifespan. They die off and then they rejuvenate themselves. The skin cells shed every 2 to 4 weeks and rejuvenate in different parts of the body at different times, according to whatever type of cell it is. According to researchers, the body replaces itself with a largely new set of cells every 7 to 10 years. This information was taken from a professor at Stanford University. I had always heard that, but I had never really thought about it being true or not. But evidently, for the most part, that is true. And I think how amazing is that? And I would call that fabulously resilient of our bodies to be able to do that. In spite of disease and sickness and viruses and surgeries, our body never stops renewing itself. Sometimes after being sick, we think that we'll never be the same. Sometimes I feel like I'm never going to have the same energy again. But the next thing you know, you've bounced back and you feel normal again, as normal as you can feel in the situation anyway. I have a friend in the neighborhood who has just turned 80 years old. Her name is Suzanne, and she is a lovely lady who is known for her catering abilities, her cooking, her baking, and whose bike is her car. She would have no qualms about figuring out how to bring her Christmas tree home on her bike, or a bookshelf, or 2 bags of groceries. She can do it all. She told me that once when she had a big bookshelf on her bike, that the guys at the store were looking at her like she was crazy, and like they knew that she wasn't going to make it home. But she is tenacious that way. She did, of course, make it home. 3 years ago, she had a terrible bike accident where a car crossed a walking street and hit her broadside, throwing her meters into the air and slamming her to the ground. She never knew what hit her. She had bones protruding from both legs, broken ribs, a broken collarbone, shattered shoulder, and cuts and scrapes all over her body. Her family was informed that she had about a 1% chance of making it through the night. But she did make it through the night, and the next night. She had many surgeries and was in the hospital for over 2 months and in a rehab center for 6 months. Personally, I can't believe they dared to tell Suzanne that she would never walk again without a walker for sure if she did walk. And as far as her bike goes, she can just forget about riding her bike again. And I just want to say ask how many of you have the personality that if someone told you that you couldn't do something or you will never be able to do that, how many of you would live your life just to prove them wrong? And you would prove them wrong. That is Suzanne. 2 years after the accident, she went to the shop and bought herself a brand new bike. She is walking and riding her bike again. She may not have the same energy and may be more cautious and more aware of the dangers, but she still has a lust for life. Her resilience and ability to recover quickly from difficulties, her toughness and ability to bounce back have given her her life back and the things that she loves most, cooking for other people and riding her bike. Of course, because of the damage and surgeries her body endured, she does have limitations, but that is the new normal. It's good. And she lives life to the full again. Unfortunately, there are diseases and sicknesses and injuries that our body fights constantly throughout our life, like anyone with heart disease knows, or diabetes, or paralysis from an accident, and the list goes on and on. But our bodies were made to fight back and be resilient, and they do as much as physically possible. We can also look at history and see people who were resilient. Because we just celebrated the end of World War II, I was reminded of the story of Winston Churchill. We recently watched the movie Darkest Hour for the second or third time, and I'm always deeply moved by what people went through and how dark those days were, and how the difference between winning and losing was a very fine line. But for the tenacity and resilience of Winston Churchill, the war may have ended a different way. His most famous quote is, "Never give in, never give in, never, 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 never. In nothing great or small, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense." He was fighting not only Hitler, but also his own cabinet, his people around him who wanted to do things differently. Even through setback and failure, he bounced back and moved forward again. When there are extraordinary circumstances, it is vital to recover quickly and move forward and do it now. He had little time to make many of the decisions that he had to make, yet he did, and he saved his country. He was courageous and persevered in the face of great adversity. He is also often referred to as a bulldog because of his tenacity to not let go. When we have health issues, our body recovers. The difference with resilience and that it has to do with mental or emotional strength, the ability to recover quickly mentally from illness or depression or misfortune, or in times of stress, like in the pandemic. How much stress can we or the economy, for instance, take before crashing? How resilient are we to stress and hitting rock bottom and bouncing back? I love this quote by J.K. Rowling. "Rock bottom became the solid ground on which I built my life." Her story is very interesting, and she did fall flat, but she did not stay there. She did something about it, and she bounced back and rebuilt her life. Don't we all have days or weeks, months, maybe even years that you feel like you've been put to the test, that you've gone through fire, that you're still going through fire? I think that through this time of coronavirus during the lockdown, I'm sure there are many people feeling like they've gone through the fire and they're still going through it. Some days we may think that we are not going to make it, and that's maybe a shout out to ladies with little children. But somehow we do. We do have the power of resilience. Are we going to bounce back? Looking back at history, the world has been through major wars, pandemics, devastating volcano eruptions, storms, fires, terrorist attacks, droughts, communist regimes, and on the list goes. And yet, human beings have the capacity to bounce back physically and mentally. We all know people like Suzanne, who recovered not only physically from a setback, but who is also resilient and bounced back mentally. We know ladies in the club who have gone through difficult times and have bounced back. You may even have your own story of resilience, or you may even still be bouncing courageously and resiliently. How can we be sure that we do not fall flat and stay there? Or how do we build on rock bottom? A few things come to mind. One of them, of course, being hope. Can we be resilient without hope? After we heard from Regina, the friend of Laura Robbie, about her experiences as a Jewish girl in Antwerp during the war, I sent her an email and asked her what she would say about hope. She said, always good thoughts, never negative, because without hope, you are breaking yourself down. I live with that. My husband had no hope in his life and really did not enjoy a lot. Only with his grandchildren was he happy. You can always find the positive side in every problem. That's my way of having hope. Without hope, you live in despair. Physical healing may come, but will mental healing? I would call Regina a resilient person. That brings to mind another thing that lends itself to being resilient, and that is positive thinking. We have all heard of the power of positive thinking. In difficult times, being positive is half the battle. Researchers have said that optimism is associated with mood, coping, and immune change in response to stress. Pessimism may stress you out, boosting levels of destructive stress hormones in your body. Like exercise releases the happy hormones, stress releases the negative ones. Being positive helps you mentally and physically. With hope, we also talked about something else, that the word itself implies movement, curving or bending, a change in direction, just doing something. In the talk about hope, the boy in the cave couldn't just sit still. He had to do something. So he dug into the wall of the cave in the hopes of possibly finding a way out. He had no guarantee of success. And as it turns out, he did not find a way out through that wall. But the activity, the movement, the being bouncy from a dark place of literal rock bottom kept him going, kept him positive, kept him hopeful. Being resilient gives you power. It gives you the power to take advantage of a bad situation and transform it into something good, something new, something maybe even better than before. Being successful in a new situation. A situation that was forced on you or just happened, that you had no control over, or that you made for yourself. It still gives you the power to do something about it. You still have resources within you to give you the power to overcome and bounce back and change direction. Hope is a catalyst for change, curving, going in a different way, bouncing back. Resilience means knowing how to cope in spite of setbacks or barriers or limited resources. Resilience is a measure of how much you want something and how much you are willing and able to overcome obstacles to get it. It has to do with emotional strength. There are two sayings that have stuck with me throughout my life that I remember from being a teenager. One of them is, today is the first day of the rest of your life. If you don't bounce today, hope for the bounce tomorrow. Don't let the mistakes of the past define you, literally. If you don't stick to your plan of eating healthy yesterday, don't give up today. Today is a new day. Or if your plan of starting a fitness plan to get moving, to strengthen your body, if you didn't do it yesterday, today is a new day. Start again today. Another saying is an advertisement quote, just do it. I still have to talk to myself sometimes and say, just do it. What are the things you want to change? Or are there areas in your life where you want to do better or do something different, but you just haven't? Sometimes it is just that simple, but sometimes it is not. I think of J.K. Rowling again. It was not simple. She had to write the story to sell it. My friend Suzanne went through painful physical therapy to get where she is today. Someone else may have given up. I think plenty of people give up during their physical therapy because they just can't take it. If they have no hope, no positive attitude, no mental attitude of just do it, keep moving, keep changing, keep bouncing. How much are people willing to take to work to overcome an obstacle? I think that is our own mental attitude certainly attributes to our ability to be resilient. And that is the main barrier to overcome, our own mental attitude, how we are thinking, the positive thinking, the hope. But I also believe that the support groups that we have around us also help. Your immediate family is there. They're definitely important. They encourage you. They help you in times of being sick, so they can help you physically. They help you mentally. They give you encouragement. But I certainly want to make a point of our communities, our social communities. Some of us are involved in religious communities or sports groups or any other group where we have friends that give us support. Specifically, we're involved in the American Women's Club of Antwerp. I think everyone except Christy in this group, but she's also involved in another group. It's important to have friends who understand you, who have your same values or have been through the same things you have been through or are going through. It is important to have people around you who help you to be resilient and even facilitate it. I mentioned before how the ladies in my fitness class were so encouraging when I was recovering from my surgeries. And not only encouraging to recover, but to recover and continue the fitness class. I also had no less encouragement from my friends here in the club to recover and to get back to regular activities. We facilitate each other's resilience by encouragement and by helping each other out where we can. There is not always an easy answer or an easy way to change something. And please don't hear me say, don't worry, tomorrow is another day, or just do it. Sometimes things will be better, but things can be more complicated and they can't be smoothed over or fixed with words or even actions. We know that there are diseases that are incurable or physical problems that even physical therapy will not help. I just want to be sure that I acknowledge that. But deep down, we are all the same. We all have moments when life's troubles threaten to take us down and keep us at rock bottom. And maybe we have to do our best to even breathe. But I would like to encourage you to keep calm and carry on. Find a positive side. Don't give up hope. Change course if necessary. Let your family or friends help. Let them help to encourage you and to keep you moving in the right direction. And just do it. Thank you, ladies.